Welcome to lesson 12 of learning biblical Hebrew. Today we're going to look at a verse from Psalm 118, verse 24, a verse that's been made famous by scripture and song. So let's have a look. So here it is, Psalm 118, verse 24, reading again from the right. Ze hayom rasa Yahweh, nagila v'nishma ha bo. Try that again. Wenis. I said nish, but it should be nis. The dot on this side indicates that it's if the dot was on this side, it would be sh. So I should say wenis maha bo. Okay, that's a bit of a mouthful, but I made it in the end. So let's unfold our paper, and here I have the letter by letter. Again, it's pretty messy. I recommend that as soon as possible you just learn the Hebrew characters and dispense with this messy letter by letter part. But anyway, there it is if anyone wants to look at it, and here is our word by word translation. So ze means this, and hayom is the day. The day. Now don't confuse this word with hayam, which we had in the last lesson, Psalm 96 verse 11. Hayam, which means the sea. When we put those two words together, you can see that they are very similar, but the top one in Psalm 118 is hayom, which means the day. Yom is day, and the one in Psalm 96:11 underneath it is hayam, which means the sea. So the vowel is different. Yom here and yam here, the sea. Okay, and asa means made. This is a perfect. In the last lesson we talked about imperfects, which indicate incomplete action. This here is a perfect, which indicates completed action. So again, as I said, ancient Hebrew didn't really have tenses, but it had what are grammatically sometimes called aspects. So it means the type of action is focused on rather than the time of the action, type of action rather than the time. And so a perfect talks about the type of action which is completed, and the imperfect talks about the type of action which is not completed. So again, going back to the last lesson, the first word here, yismachu. So that's an imperfect. It has the Y letter at the beginning of it, which indicates an imperfect, and it's talking about an action that isn't completed, but it's actually a command. So saying do it. So it's a type of action that's not yet completed, but this one here is a completed action, made. Or we could translate, as we see later, has made. Yahweh has made. This is the day which the Lord has made. So those of you who knew the old scripture and song will be already singing in your head that old song. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. And remember it goes on, we will rejoice and be glad in it. And here it is, nagila. So rejoice we, and the N here at the beginning is another form of the imperfect. For the third person singular, the imperfect had a Y, as we just saw, but for the first person plural, it has an N, as we have here. So say, we will rejoice. And with the on the end, it changes it again subtly to mean more like let us rejoice, or we should rejoice. and here's the same, well, here's the word meaning and here's the same in meaning we will be glad. And here's the root for glad. Samach is the root for glad. And again, it's got the N at the front of it, indicating first person plural, imperfect. We will rejoice, and the on the end of it makes it into more like let us rejoice. And bo means in it. In it, the B part means in, and the or ending means third person singular. We find that on our study guide here, front page, prepositions, and the B. So the basic meaning of that is in. And here are the different spellings of it, but it's going with an ending that means third person singular. Now what else do we need to say about this? Yeah, these two words, there's no real difference in meaning between them. I think the two words are just added together to give a little extra kind of weight to it. It's a possibility in translation to just use one word, which might be a little more impactful in English or in another target language. So the source language, which was the Hebrew, had the two words, which is part of their rhetorical structure. Even though the two words don't have any particular difference in meaning, it's not talking about two different things, but it's just saying the same thing in two different words. And when we translate in the target language, an option is to just use a single word, even if we also have two words. An option to be considered is to just use a single word, and the advantage of a single word is that it may give just a little bit more impact to our translation, equivalent to the impact perhaps of what it had in the original by using two words. So what have I done here? Today was made by God for you. Be happy. So it's one of many ways that this could be translated. So I have just used one word. And I've also noted that hayom, the day, is also used to mean today. Today. That's the way that they would say today. And I've just changed it around a bit and I've added this. Today was made by God for you. Be happy. What are some other points here? If you check with English versions here, you notice that many English versions use Lord, capital letters, for Yahweh. This goes back to the reluctance that the Jews developed to say the sacred name. So they substituted the Hebrew word Adonai, meaning Lord, and then the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, made in about 200 BC, they copied them. They did the same thing. And many modern English versions use Lord with a capital L-O-R-D to indicate that the word Lord is used to refer to Yahweh, to God. Notice also another small grammatical point that the verb comes before the noun. So the Hebrew word for word says, this, the day, made Yahweh. And of course in English, you have to put the subject before the verb. Put it that way, it sounds like Yahweh is the object, made God. But in Hebrew, this is the standard, the most common order, the default order, if you like, to put the verb first and then the noun. So we would say that God made. But I've kept the order, not that I really intended to do that, but I've kept the order by making it into a passive, made by God for you. So There we go. Today was made by God for you. Be happy. Ze hayum asa Yahweh nagila winismacha bo. Psalm 118 verse 24. That's a good thing for us to remember every day because it applies to every day.